What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you a unique situation that I ran into this week where I had a customer that was convinced that he needed a new engine on his John Deere Z950M, which seems to be what I've been working on a lot lately. But he's not a landscaper, he's just a homeowner that has a large property and he's had this for years. And he said that he was losing power and it started smoking really bad. So he had replaced the carburetor. Things got worse and he called me, said, hey, you gotta come take a look at this thing. I went, picked it up, brought it back, and he was convinced, he was convinced that he needed a new engine, and he'd already priced one out. And I said, just pump your brakes there, hot rod, let's take a look at it. It probably doesn't need a new engine. I asked him what he had done. He said just replace the carburetor and that was it, and things just kept getting worse and worse. So I'm going to show you what I found. It was basically dying from 1,000 different cuts. We saved him a lot of money. So let's go ahead and get started and I'll show you what I found. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's get started. I didn't have a lot of footage of it running with it smoking so bad, and I didn't want to run the engine risking any potential damage until I got back here to give a thorough inspection of what was going on. But the first thing that I noticed was this was not in this position. I've already fixed the motor. We've done a lot of other repairs. He had some oil leaks, but the main reason was lack of power and just smoking really, really bad. So the first thing I noticed was it didn't have this on it. We just got this. This is part of the issue. It was restricted from air, and I'm going to show you why. Because these have a cap here, and you'll notice how it says top right here. They never really line up properly on these engines. This is a Kawasaki FX850V, by the way. This piece here is to let any type of water that may get into this air filter housing, it'll let it drain out right there. And instead of that cap that was right here, this was on, and it was rotated down facing like this with that rubber cap on, and this had nothing on it. So let me show you why that's an issue. So I'm going to take this cap off and show you what's going on. This was pretty much the only way, this little hole, this thing was getting any air into it, and these engines need a lot of air. This is where, back here on this inlet right here, is where most of the air comes in, and you can see how much larger it is versus having air just only go through there on this cap. And plus, the reason this was restricted is he had the little rubber piece that goes onto this cap was right there, which was very restrictive. So the engine has to have a lot of air, so what it was doing was also pulling air through this positive crankcase ventilation hose. It was sucking air, oily air, into the carburetor, making matters worse. However, that wasn't the only issue. We had gas in the oil and oil in the gas. And that's caused by when these fuel pumps go bad eventually, and these are only $35, $40. I've done a video on this, how this goes bad and it gets ignored. This can ruin your motor. If you're getting a lot of gas mixing in with your oil, that's what's going to really start causing wear on the engine. And the way this is operated is it operates off the crankcase pressure, and it pumps fuel from the tank over to the carburetor. And even if you have a EFI motor, a electronic fuel injected motor, you're still going to have one of these pumps to supply fuel to the high pressure pump. And what happens is over time, especially if you're using gasoline that has ethanol in it, there's a little rubber diaphragm in here, and that ethanol eats away at that rubber over time, and it starts mixing the two. So it's got oil, since it's running off the crankcase pressure, it's got oil on one side of this a little bit from just from the air going into it with a little bit of oil mixed into it. It's not like it's full of oil, but it's enough to start putting oil over mixing in with the gas. So once I had checked the oil, I could smell gas in the oil. But sometimes you can't smell it, and you may have hard of smelling or situation like that. But I'm going to show you a quick little easy method to test to see if you have gasoline contaminating your engine oil. So guys, I want to show you a quick little trick how to check to see if you have gas mixed in with your oil. So just take your dipstick, or all you need is just a little drop of oil and a cup of nice clean water. All right, and the lighting is going to be critical for you to see. Now when I drop this oil in the water, see how it all spread out like that? There's definitely gas in the water. I'm sorry, there's definitely gas in the oil. Because if there's just oil, like, I don't know if you guys can see, it's really hard. It spreads all out. But if it's just oil, the oil stays with itself. Let me show you real quick. I'm going to take my screwdriver here and dip it down into some oil just like I would with the dipstick. We got a little bit of just regular oil. And I want you to see how it just normally will just stay with itself. It's not going to spread out like crazy. See how it just stays right there by itself. But the oil is just staying right there. It doesn't spread out. The gas is what causes it to spread out. And that alone will cause it to smoke really badly. Now you'll notice also we have a new muffler, because the old muffler right here got full of oil, which not a big deal, but since it was already corroded, I suggested to go ahead and replace it. Plus, once we fix the issue, there was so much oil contamination inside of here, it would take hours of running it and smoking just to burn it all out of there. Another issue that he had was oil leaking from this governor seal onto the muffler and causing that to smoke, but that has nothing to do with the smoke coming out of the exhaust. Third issue that was the third issue that was contributing to it running poorly was this governor linkage that goes up to the carburetor. You can see how worn out it is. It hooks up right there, and that will make a big difference. Plus this was about to break, but just that little bit of play right there will make a big difference on how this runs. So there's just several different things, including since he had also replaced this carburetor, and these were still kind of loose. This bracket here was loose. The cables were kind of out of alignment. Nothing was running right. It wouldn't idle down. It would just shut off. There was just a bunch of little things that were adding up, contributing to this bad situation that made him think that he needed a new engine. So after fixing the air filter housing situation where the engine can finally breathe, that's one thing that drastically helped. Then replacing the fuel pump, number 2, and then I had to go ahead and remove the engine, because to replace this governor seal, you have to remove the entire engine and remove that lower crankcase cover. And since he didn't have to spend money on an engine, he went ahead and authorized a new muffler and some other issues that he had going on the mower that we're not going to cover in this video. But still, overall, we got him back in business, far less than what he was expecting to pay, and we fixed a lot of issues. So while I had that off, we went ahead and replaced that governor link, which is easy to replace. If you're having bad situations, you really just need to do a very thorough inspection of everything. And also, with these being loose, you run the high risk potential. Well, you will, if they're too loose, it's going to create a vacuum vacuum leak, and that's going to cause it to run really bad. And anytime I'm into a motor at all, I like to adjust or at least check the valve clearances, and this one was off, which I think helped contribute to his original problem of losing power. So once I got it back here and I knew we had contaminated gas or contaminated engine oil, we had gas in it, I knew we was going to have to replace the fuel pump, got the air filter situation corrected, And even with it cold, I did a leak down test and I was seeing no signs of it having any valve issues, no head gasket leak. So those are just a bunch of different things to look out for. Oh, and also the governor linkage, all this stuff being loose. It's just so many little things that were adding up that once I got it all back together, I knew it was gonna fire up, run really good, not smoke. And my customer was just so happy. And I know if he had taken this to other places, that a lot of people would have taken advantage of that situation. Like, yeah, you need a new engine, whatever, and could really take advantage of my customer. So guys, one of the number one reasons that I see customers' engines smoking is that they overfilled the oil. So make sure you're not overfilling your engine oil, okay? That's a very simple thing. It's easy to do, and it'll send people into a panic when they see that their engine, especially after they've done an oil change, all of a sudden it starts smoking really bad and they start freaking out thinking something the oil has messed up their engine when they've simply just overfilled it. So make sure you're not doing that. So guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I just wanted to show you those simple things that add it all up to save that customer thousands of dollars on his repair. Instead of replacing an engine, we just did these simple repairs. Do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Check out my other videos too.